Hello and welcome to the Love Doc podcast with hosts Waldo Wachewski and Ophelia Brewski.
Imagine blowing up a solid 3-year relationship just because you left your reading glasses in the backseat of your car.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud.
Right. But that is exactly the scenario we are dissecting in today's deep dive. So our mission today is to analyze this wildly entertaining and honestly just deeply chaotic love doc.
Oh, it is pure chaos.
So we're going to look at the original letter sent in by a reader, which details this digital detox that just goes horribly, horribly wrong. And then we're going to tear apart the love doc's utterly baffling response to it.
And that response is really what makes this so compelling for us to look at because, you know, it reveals volumes about modern relationship anxiety for you, the listener, but it also just entirely exposes the absolute wild west of the current media landscape.
Oh, for sure.
Like, this is an era where opinion writers just operate completely unchecked.
Yeah, totally unchecked. So, to set the scene, we have this romantic beach trip to Port A. And that's Port Aransas, for those of you not familiar with the Texas coast.
Right, a great little getaway spot.
Exactly. But it gets completely derailed by a single ping from a manager. And the love doc, who is supposed to be, solving this potential cheating dilemma, seems to care infinitely more about his own MP3 collection.
And obscure 1970s metal bands.
Yes. Obscure metal bands. He cares way more about that than the actual crisis at hand.
Which is wild. But whether you've ever tried to enforce a strict no screens rule for a weekend getaway, or, maybe you just nervously watched a notification light up on your partner's phone, this whole story is really a masterclass in the ambient anxiety of our digital age.
It really is. So let's just get straight into the anatomy of this failed detox. The letter comes from a reader who signs off as suspicious suspect.
Classic advice column pseudonym.
Always. So here is the condensed version of his situation. He and his girlfriend of 3 years take this spur-of-the-moment 4-day weekend down to Port Aransas.
Sounds lovely so far.
Right. They leave the dogs with a friend. They hit the road on a Friday.
Yeah.
But before they even hit the coast, their phones are just blowing up. Coworkers, friends, random spammers. It is a relentless barrage of digital demands.
And you can feel the tension there. That creates an immediate friction in the car. Because they are physically driving away from their responsibilities, but digitally they're still completely tethered.
Yeah, the escape hasn't started yet.
Exactly. The mental escape hasn't happened at all.
So to force that mental escape, they make a pact, and they make it a physical one. They agree that the second they arrive, the phones go under a towel in the backseat of the car.
Just out of sight, out of mind.
Completely out of sight. And they agree they will not touch them until the drive home. And at first, it works. It is flawless. They get to the condo, they take a dark walk on the beach, they make a late dinner, drink wine, and they listen to the condo's vinyl record collection.
That sounds idyllic. And, establishing a physical boundary like that, literally putting the device under a towel in a different location, that is supposed to break the habitual loop of just reaching into your pocket.
Which we all do 100 times a day.
Right. But psychologically, creating a taboo often heightens the allure of the forbidden object.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Which brings us perfectly to the morning after. So the boyfriend wakes up, he wants to read his book, but he realizes his reading glasses are out in the car.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. He tells his girlfriend he's running out to grab them, and he goes so far as to explicitly promise her out loud that he will not look at his phone while he's out there.
Unprovoked, he promises this.
Unprovoked. So he opens the car door, he grabs the glasses, and from under that towel, he hears a single ding.
And there it is. The friction of the physical boundary just vanishes the second he hears that sound.
It just pulls him right back in.
Completely, because that notification is literally designed to trigger a dopamine response. It's this overwhelming urge for completion. He just has to know what it is.
And he caves. I mean, of course he does. He lists the towel. It's a message from his manager with a work question. And he completely breaks the pact right then and there.
Just shatters it.
Yeah. He feels this huge obligation to respond, so he literally stands there in the driveway, secretly texting his boss back.
Wow.
But wait, it gets worse. While he is typing, his girlfriend's phone screen lights up right next to his hand.
Oh, the timing is brutal.
Brutal. It's a message from a contact named Logan. And the notification preview is just agonizingly short. It just says, missed you at and the screen goes dark.
Oh my gosh. The collapse of the entire weekend just contained in a single incomplete sentence.
Seriously. And he doesn't know her passcode. So he can't unlock the phone to read the rest of the message. He has absolutely no idea what Logan was referring to, and it just instantly poisons his mood for the remaining 3 days of the trip.
I can imagine. He's just trapped in his own head now.
Exactly. He stews in total silence because he can't ask her about Logan without, admitting that he broke the phone pact first.
Right, he'd have to confess to snooping.
Yeah, and the ultimate irony here is that she actually keeps the pact. On the long drive home, she refuses to look at her device, completely oblivious to the fact that her boyfriend is sitting right next to her, literally being eaten alive by curiosity.
He is tragic, honestly. He basically engineered his own psychological torture chamber.
He really did. But I do want to push back on this a little bit, or at least look at the mechanics of his guilt here. The boyfriend obviously feels entirely responsible for ruining the weekend, but I look at the manager as the initial catalyst.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if the boss respects the weekend and doesn't text on a Saturday morning, the boyfriend never lifts the towel.
Right.
And he never sees the message from Logan. The intrusive nature of modern work culture essentially set the trap here.
I see your point. The manager absolutely set the trap, but we have to acknowledge that the boyfriend willingly stepped right into it.
I suppose that's fair.
Yeah, if we analyze the psychology of the pact itself, the core failure is entirely internal. Suspicious suspect made an active, conscious choice to engage with the device. He's trying to frame his current agony as a direct consequence of this mysterious Logan character, but his misery is actually the direct result of his own broken promise.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the broken promise is the root of it.
Exactly. There is this profound tension we all face between trusting the people around us and the irresistible lure of a notification. He chose the notification, and his punishment was receiving this totally incomplete information that completely shattered his peace of mind.
He sought control over his work anxiety by checking the message, and in doing so, he basically lost all control over his relationship anxiety.
That is a brilliant way to put it.
So he writes to the Love Doc in this state of absolute panic, basically asking, do I confront her about Logan and admit I cheated on the detox? Or do I just let it go and try to live with the suspicion?
A classic dilemma.
Right. Now, if you are reading an advice column called the Love Doc, you naturally expect a deep dive into relationship psychology, right?
Of course. You expect a discussion about establishing trust, navigating boundaries, how to communicate effectively, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you expect some actual empathy and actionable guidance tailored to his vulnerability. But instead, the column takes this sharp, incredibly aggressive, and utterly baffling detour.
It is honestly hard to read without laughing at how absurd it gets.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
The Love Doc starts off praising the no-screen policy for about maybe half a sentence, but then he immediately makes the entire situation about himself.
Shocking.
Right. He announces that he could never do a digital detox because he desperately needs his, quote, beach jams.
Beach jams.
Beach jams. And from there, he just launches into this highly specific, furious tirade about how he dramatically exited the Apple ecosystem back in 2015.
Which he proudly claims made him a digital pariah among his peers. As if that's a badge of honor.
Exactly. All because Apple supposedly tried to force him to play his MP3 collection through iTunes, which he violently describes as a featureless straitjacket.
Such dramatic phrasing for a music app.
So dramatic. The doc aims his fury directly at Apple CEO Tim Cook. He actually refers to Cook as a leathery version of Anderson Cooper.
Which is just so out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Are you currently unclothed? Yeesh, that's only cool at certain resorts on the French Riviera, Hippie Hollow, and your backyard. But only if you have one of those slowly rotting wooden privacy fences your creepy neighbor likes to leer over while he's watering his rosebush. Otherwise, if you want to win friends and influence enemies, you need to get outfitted in some sick merch from the Love Doc shop at thepleasurecraft.com. Are you a hard fit? We got you, boo. Plus, there are a variety of styles and colors that can accommodate any levels of uncoolness, even yours. So make a sensible fashion decision and hightail it to the Love Doc shop at thepleasurecraft.com. Your body is counting on you.
He calls him a desiccated parasite, bleeding people dry. He accuses the CEO of sucking up to the bloated orange Antichrist with gaudy gold gifts.
No.
And then, for absolutely no logical reason at all, he throws a stray punch at another tech billionaire, just casually adding, "At least you're not Elon Musk."
It is just a breathtaking departure from the reader's actual emotional crisis. I mean, a guy is writing in about potentially losing his girlfriend of 3 years, and this guy is yelling about tech billionaires.
It's like pulling over to ask a distracted driver for directions because you are completely lost, and instead of telling you how to get to the highway, They just roll down the window and start screaming at a billboard.
Yes, that is the perfect analogy.
I mean, why does an advice columnist insert such aggressive, hyper-specific, politically charged tech grievances to a total stranger's romantic emergency?
Well, it reveals a really fundamental shift in the nature of the media we consume today. This specific sector of modern media isn't actually designed to help the reader at all. Suspicious suspects' painful, vulnerable letter is merely a convenient prompt.
Just a jumping-off point for the rant.
Exactly. The column itself operates as a vehicle for the doc's own curated, highly judgmental persona. The reader's relationship anxiety is completely secondary to the columnist's desperate need to broadcast his own grievances about MP3 formatting, corporate text structures, and political figures.
That's all just performance art.
Right. The platforms reward engagement and strong opinions, so he uses a format meant for empathy to basically wage his own irrelevant parasocial wars.
Well, that performative nature perfectly explains what happens next in the text. So after this massive anti-Apple crusade, the doc finally returns to the couple's actual beach setting.
Finally.
But wait, he doesn't focus on the tension in the car. He doesn't focus on the mysterious text message, or even Logan.
Of course not.
He focuses on the absolute least important detail of the entire letter. The fact that the couple listened to the condo's vinyl collection on their first night.
He ignores the agony to critique the ambiance.
Yes. He remarks that trusting vacation renters with vinyl is, quote, brave. And he says he hopes the couple gave the condo at least a 3-star review. Unless, of course, the vinyl was scratched or it consisted of really obscure metal bands from the 70s.
And he doesn't just leave it at that vague description, does he?
Oh no, he specifically names the bands. He calls out Tease, Savage Grace, and Straps.
The level of specificity for a completely fabricated hypothetical scenario is just staggering.
It's bizarre. He then decides to dictate exactly what a real superhost should provide to effectively read the room for a romantic getaway. His mandatory suggestions are Harry Belafonte, Rupert Holmes, or at the very least, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh, this part is amazing.
And he actually caps this off with the hashtag #CVibes. I have to push back on this because the absurdity is just off the charts. How does a 6-minute folk ballad about a tragic, deadly shipwreck where 29 men literally died in a freezing lake, how does the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald set a romantic beach mood?
It really doesn't.
How is a maritime disaster considered #CVibes?
It is so funny. Look, as relationship advice, it is objectively terrible. But as a psychological study of the advisor, it is endlessly fascinating.
Sure.
This strange musical detour connects directly back to how we consume advice online. The doc takes the reader's minor, passing details and uses them to project his own hyper-specific worldview.
So the advice becomes a mirror reflecting the author rather than a window offering clarity to the reader.
Exactly the right framing. It highlights a very real danger when we ask others for advice in public forums. You are often just receiving their unexamined baggage, their biases, and their neuroses thinly disguised as wisdom. The doc is so heavily invested in his identity as a music snob who hates big tech that he literally suggests a song about men drowning in Lake Superior as the ideal soundtrack for a couple trying to reconnect in Port Aransas.
It's unhinged.
He is just profoundly disconnected from the emotional reality of the person asking for help.
Which leaves us wondering what this all means for poor suspicious suspect. Does he actually get any real, actionable advice after slogging through all the tech rants and the shipwreck playlists?
Surprisingly, yes.
Yeah, once you strip all of that noise away, we do arrive at the core advice the doc finally delivers.
And honestly, when he stops performing and addresses the problem, the insight is rather sharp.
It really is. He plainly states the reality of the power dynamic. He tells the guy, look, you are over a barrel. You're losing sleep over this while Logan, whoever he happens to be, is probably sleeping just fine.
That's a great reality check.
Yeah, the doc diagnoses the real underlying issue. It's not about losing the moral high ground because you texted your boss. The real issue is the deep, paralyzing fear of abandonment. It's the terrifying possibility that your girlfriend actually has a side piece.
He cuts right through the distraction of the broken pact and the manager's text to identify the root emotional trauma, which is simply fear.
And his prescription is incredibly direct. The love doc tells him, own the fear, admit the transgression of breaking the phone pact, and just tell your girlfriend about your concern over this Logan text.
He has to put it all out there.
Right. The doc points out that Logan could be totally innocuous. He jokes that he could be a minister or a parole officer, Or he could be the hard truth you would prefer to avoid. But making things more complicated by hiding your actions will only make it harder in the long run.
It's solid advice.
But I really question the practical application of this approach for the boyfriend, though. Just think about the relational dynamics here.
Okay, how so?
Well, if he goes to her and admits he broke their sacred pact just to check a work email, doesn't that immediately invalidate his right to be suspicious about the Logan text?
Yeah.
It feels like pleading guilty to a misdemeanor just so you have the standing to prosecute a felony.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Right. He is handing her the perfect defensive weapon.
Yeah.
She can immediately deflect by saying, I can't believe you were sneaking around looking at your phone.
Yeah.
And then the conversation about Logan never even happens.
That is the exact risk he faces. Absolutely. And it's the precise reason he has been paralyzed in silence. But if we synthesize the core takeaway here, the Love Doc actually hits on a fundamental psychological truth, despite all his chaotic tangents.
Which is what?
That avoiding a hard truth through digital secrecy only amplifies anxiety. Right now, the boyfriend is living in a state of Schrodinger's infidelity.
Oh, I love that. We definitely need to unpack that because that is a brilliant way to describe his anxiety.
So, in quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat is this famous thought experiment where a cat in a box is simultaneously alive and dead until you open the box to observe it.
Right, the observation changes the state.
Exactly. And the boyfriend is experiencing the relationship equivalent of that because he only saw a fragmented notification preview, and he cannot see the rest of the message. Logan is simultaneously an innocent friend and a secret lover.
Oh, wow.
As long as the boyfriend refuses to ask the question, his girlfriend is both cheating on him and entirely faithful.
The uncertainty is the real torture. He is just trapped in that in-between state.
He is. And the only way to collapse that wave function, the only way to force the reality into one state or the other, is to open the box. Open communication, even when it requires exposing your own flaws and admitting your own faults, is the only mechanism to resolve that paralyzing uncertainty.
He has to take the hit on the misdemeanor, as you put it, to find out if the felony actually occurred.
Perfectly said. The digital secrecy created this illusion of safety, but it actually just built a prison of anxiety.
Man, what an incredibly wild journey we've been on today. We started with a very simple, well-intentioned beach pact in Port Aransas to just put the phones away and connect.
A seemingly innocent plan.
Right. But then we somehow detoured through unhinged, politically charged tech rants about Tim Cook and Apple Music players. We took a hard left turn into obscure 1970s metal critiques and highly inappropriate shipwreck ballads.
Don't forget #the vibes.
Never forget #CVibes. And finally, we landed on the stark, terrifying reality of having to face one's deepest relationship fears.
It is honestly a perfect distillation of the modern digital experience. And for you listening, this matters because it highlights just how deeply intertwined our digital devices are with our most profound insecurities.
They really are just an extension of our anxieties.
Exactly. I mean, a single incomplete notification, just a few words glowing on a screen, had the power to completely dismantle a weekend built on trust. And furthermore, it serves as a powerful reminder that the quote-unquote experts we turn to for guidance online are often just as wildly distracted by their own digital baggage and personal grievances as we are.
It definitely makes you second-guess the advice you consume online. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder today. We all love the idea of the off switch. We crave that clean break from the world.
You really do.
But when we deliberately lock our phones away under a towel in the back of a car to force a digital detox with our partners, are we actually building a deeper, more authentic connection? Or are we just creating a high-stakes pressure cooker where the very first person to crack and check a notification inevitably shatters the entire illusion of the relationship? Thank you for listening to the Love Doc podcast.
To read the column that spawned this podcast, go to austinchronicle.com/columns/thelovedoc. There are probably worse things to do with your time, right?